Can you see it, guys? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, one second. This is the data, okay, which I shared, but Arna somehow didn't get. Okay, where we have the team names and where and which all stadiums this person has played, this Stephen Curry, and he has rated these popcorns based on these 5 parameters: freshness, saltiness, crunchiness, butter, presentation, and then there's a total score. Now we need to visualize this data. Okay, now let me connect to Tableau. It's an Excel file. So it is asking me to browse that location. So I have that folder open already. See. So now I have connected to the data. Okay. Now this is the sheet. Okay. Now I need to drag and drop. Now you see I have connected to the data and it will show me like what my data looks like. Okay. On the left hand side, it gives me a little bit of metadata information. On the right hand side, it gives me a preview of the data. But you see here, there are some extra columns has come up, F3, F4, something like that. These are basically, if you go to the Excel sheet, you see this, there are few additional information in the sheet that are not needed, that are not actually data. There is some additional information like date, author, last, refresh. And the same thing is coming here. Right? Can you see this, guys, what I'm showing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the actual data actually starts from here, right? Actual data starts from here. So in this case, Tableau provides a very good functionality, which is something called a huge data interpreter. Okay. So the moment you click on this, Tableau will clean it. If there are unnecessary information, you see, it has totally cleaned it. Okay. And after cleaning, it has there is something called review the results. Basically, it stores that result in an Excel file. If you click on, if you want to see it, just click on that. You will understand what Tableau has done to clean it and what the cleaning is. Like, what are the information that Tableau removed from the data, which are actually not data. So let it open. My you try this, you will know, because my Excel is little messed up. So I'm not able to open that. Otherwise, the moment you click on it, what it will do is it will open an Excel file. And after that, it is not reading for me. You will basically see what are the columns Tableau removed. Okay. And you will get a summary of that information. So which you can later utilize for yourself. So this is a good option when your data is not clean. There are unnecessary rows before the data starts. You can use this data interpreter option. Okay. I think there are some new people who are joining, right? Bhupit Bell, and they were not there before, right? Or they are part of your group.
part of the group, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now you see this is the data. Now we need to visualize it. There are only how many 29 rows of data in this. Okay. How do we visualize this? Right. And you see one thing you can notice that these are all in columns. These are freshness, saltiness, crunchiness, butter presentation, total score. These are all in columns, right? So in this case, I mean, we can still go ahead and visualize. Okay, let's go ahead and visualize this data. Let's see what we can do. Let's say team and where he played it against arena. Both are same. Arena and which team he has played it against. Okay, both are the information. Team. Maybe he would have played against one team multiple times. It could be possible. No, it's all new teams. Okay, all new teams. So basically, let me only put the arena here because this is about popcorn rating and the popcorns that are served in this arena. He's trying to rate them. Now these are my parameters. You see, these are all measures. By looking at the green icon, I can say these are continuous measures. Right? I need to now visualize it. Let's say, how do we do it? Okay, let me. If I just put butter, it looks like this. Let me bring in all of it. Okay, now you see what is happening, right? You see for each measure, it is giving me a mark type, freshness one, another. So so if you have this kind of multiple things, right, it gives you a lot of control, right? It gives you a lot of control for each. So you can go and you can give it a different color scale for each of it. Now let's say I'll give this color. If I go to freshness, I'll give something else color. I'll give this. Now I'll go to presentation. Let's say I'll give this. Saltiness. This. And total. Something like this. Okay. Different colors. Also, so this is the total score, right? Out of 25, because all are like 5 each, right? Out of 25, what is the total score basically? Okay, now this is fine. I mean, what I can do here is I can go to size and I can reduce little bit, something like this to make it look better. And there are some grid lines going. I may not need those grid lines. I'll go right click, format, go to this, go to rows. You see there are row divider column, but they are also there. You may choose to remove it. Let's say I'll remove it, none. I'll say none. So that entire upper part has gone, right? Now you see, okay, I'll show you something. Okay. Now there are column, these lines I don't want to remove in this case. The column, like for each freshness, the base of that bars, I don't want to remove because it serves as a base for those bars. Otherwise they look like floating. So I will not remove for now. Now I'll go to these grid lines and all those things. You see this in rows, there is no grid lines, but in columns, the grid lines are there. You see that horizontal, vertical lines. So I'll say none. I don't need those lines. Okay. Now, okay. Now this probably this line, these values, they are coming at the bottom, right? But I would wish if I can show them on top. Let's see if we can do that. Go to analysis, go to table layout, go to advanced, and okay, at the bottom. So there is an option. So innermost level at bottom view. Let me uncheck this and apply. Let's see what happens. No, this is not working.
Sorry, the column crunchiness.
Sorry, sir.
The column crunchiness option should be added.
Column? Oh, it's not added. Oh, we can add it.
Yes, added.
We'll add it. Okay, we have added it.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe that option is only available maybe for text value. So there is something, remember this option, normally it will be checked, and when it is checked, right, and if it's a text value, sometimes the values, the headers are at the bottom, but you can move it to top. Okay, now I was trying to do that, but here it looks like it is not possible. So there are different workarounds. We can go to the dashboard and we can do it. So right now this is the view. Okay, whatever we have created. Okay, butter, crunchiness, freshness, presentation, saltiness. Now let me create a dashboard out of it quickly. Okay, I'll call it version 1. I'll go to dashboard. So this is my, so I'll go to this and show dashboard title. Okay, and since this is a one sheet only, so I will go ahead with the existing setup. Okay, and what is happening here is this version, I don't need this title, but I'll give little more space on top for the dashboard title. Let me double click on it, and let's say popcorn and step curries popcorn ratings, all bold. I'll make it 20, and I will choose something like bold. Maybe you would like to, if you wish to give shading to the title, you can do that, right click and format title, and on this come to shading, and you can choose whatever shading you need, or you can go to different colors. If you don't like the default shading, you can go ahead and do that. Okay, now this colors, right, let me go here and let me just do one thing. Let me reduce the opacity a little bit, because it's kind of hitting to my eyes. I will make it little soft. Okay, so that I will reduce the opacity, so I can let's make it 75%. Okay, the opacity is 75. It depends like what color you are using, based on that you do that. Okay, now let me remove this arena also. Now what is happening, I have all the chart. Now when I hover over, you see different things are available for also when you hover over any one thing, right, it gives me the title, but the user doesn't know like which is what. Okay, so that header at the bottom, it is very important. Let me do one thing, fit entire view. Now butter, crunchiness, freshness. So I will do one thing, I will add a header on top. So how will I do that? So basically I will make use of some text boxes. So these are the text boxes available. I will make use of them. So what I will do is, first I will put a horizontal container. I'll put in middle. So now this is the horizontal container. And in this horizontal container, I will drag and drop text boxes. So how many I need? So I would need one for this arena, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the total 7 text boxes I would need. So I'll come here, one, I dropped one, and I'll just name it arena. We'll format it later. Make it middle arena. Then one more. It's a horizontal container, so I can drag and drop multiple text boxes side by side. 3, 4, 5, 6, ups, 6, and I think one more, 7. Okay, now we have 7 textures. Now this is arena. I'll try to make it little bold and bold. And this is what the first one is, butter. Double click on it. I'll just first copy this, so it'll be easy. Copy this. Butter. And the other one is what, crunchiness, freshness. Double click, Control V. crunchiness. And this is freshness. What is the other one? Presentation, saltiness, total score. Presentation, saltiness, and this is my total score. Total score. Okay. Now these are my headers on top. Now I'll just reduce this height. And now what I can do here is I will come here and I'll uncheck this show header. Now that header will be gone. Okay. Now these you can try to do some shading you can give. Go to layout and background, and let's give this little shading so that it at least looks like a header. And when you create any dashboard, be it any tool, the formatting takes the majority of the time. Basically, to show what to show, how to show, that thing always takes time, and it will come with practice. Okay, now you see we have created. Now you see the little bit of alignment issue because maybe all of them are not aligned properly. So let me go here and select that container, go to this drop down, and there is something called distribute contents evenly. Okay, we have done that, but still there is some issue. So what I'll try to align this little bit. Okay, and the dashboard width, right? I will try to increase to 1100 so that all will be properly aligned. You see what I'm doing, how I'm doing, right? Let it be like this. Now you see we have created one version of the dashboard when the user can easily see where they have done what. If you want to show the labels, you can do that. You can go here and you put all labels and you can show that. This will look like this, but it doesn't look that good. So I didn't choose to show it because when the user hovers over it, they anyways are getting this. Now this is one version. Okay. Any questions how we created this?
No, sir.
Okay. Now let me again recreate the same thing. So I have a version 1. I'll duplicate this sheet. Okay. Now what I will do here is now since it is these all values are out of 5. So what I can try to do here is I will try to do a dual axis with 5. Let's say what I'll do here is double click. I just now. So what you need to do, let me remove all of it except the butter, and I'll come here, double click on the text and I'll say min of 5. So you see this min of 5 is getting created. So I will do one thing, I'll go to the second one and I'll make it gray background. Okay, something like this. Okay, and what I will do here is I'll do a dual axis. That's okay, it will happen, and I'll just change them to like this. Now what will happen is I'll just remove this measure name from colors, and okay, and I'll go to the first one, and let's say I will choose this color. Now it is not showing up because I need to bring it to the top, move mask to front. Now it comes up like this, and synchronize axis because both are same scale, so I can do that. Now let me do show header. I'll remove that show header. Okay, now this is for one thing we have created. Now you can see out of 5, what is it has scored. So in this case, what I will do here is I'll not give it a different color for all of it. Maybe I would show the same color scale so that it is easy for me to see the colors. Let me find a good color which I can. Okay, this should be fine. If I just increase little bit how it looks. Let it be like this. Okay. All right, now this is one. Similarly, we have crunchiness, and I'll do a min of 5. And this min of 5, I'll come here and I'll select this. And again, let me create for all at one time. I will just color code everything. Okay, and whatever color I use right here, I'll take that, go to more colors, and this is the color that I'll copy this HTML code, copy, and I'll go to the second, this bar, which is basically crunchiness, and I'll go to this color, and I'll go to more color, and I'll just change that HTML color here. So it will be the same color. Whatever we have used here, we'll use it here also. Now I'll do for freshness. So here I'm doing this because I want to show it from a scale of 5, how much we have scored, right? That is the whole intention. Now I'll do a dual axis again. And okay, this is a good color. We can try this later. Okay, and this bar is basically this one. And color, I found a good color that time. It's something yellowish, right? It is too yellow. Let's say I'll go to light yellow. It's not visible at all. Let me go with the original that we have. Maybe in more colors, I'll go and change that. It was already copied, so it will be there. Okay. Now I will add one, what is remaining, presentation. I'll add presentation, and I'll also add min of 5.
Hello. Institute रे? Institute रे? हाँ अच्छे.
Okay. Now I will remove these measure names, and I'll change the color, this one to little grayish, and I'll select the presentation, and I'll also remove that color from here, and I'll go to color, and whatever color we are, more colors again. Say okay. Now one more thing remaining, right, which is basically saltiness. Okay. And again, I'll do a min of 5. Okay, and do a dual axis. I'll remove measure name from color, measure name from color, go to this color again. There are some repetitive steps that we have to do. There is no shortcut. And this one is basically this background. And I think all are synchronized. Synchronize axis, synchronize axis, synchronize axis. Okay. Now this is saltiness, and one more thing remaining, which is the total score. Okay, now bring in total score. We know that total score is maximum, it can go up to 25, because all added together, they are all out of 5. Now here what I'll do is I'll do a min of 25. Min of 25. Okay. Now, and I'll do a dual axis. I'll remove the measure name from color, and this also measure name from color. Min of 25. Background is gray, and this one is color, more color, and this. Okay, now we have the basic setup ready, and okay, here also synchronize axis. Now I do not need the bottom headers, right? I don't need the bottom headers, so I can do right click, show header, and here now you see when you move any, when you say show this, uncheck the show header, both the upper and lower things will be removed. So now what I will do here is this. I'll just duplicate this so that I don't have to bring in everything. So here in the second dashboard, right, version 2. Version 2, I'll say dashboard. The version 2, I just need to replace this with the original. So I'll just drag and drop, and I'll try to keep it somewhere here. I'll keep it. Okay, and I'll now remove the other one. Okay, now this is your one more version available. And also let me do a uncheck this hide title and make it a entire views. You see this entire view, you may not do it always. Depends like how much space you have. Based on that, you should do. If you have a lot of rows and you could do a entire view, then it will not look good. So it will be, all will be compressed. So it will not look good. Okay, so this is one more way. Let me save this so far.
Sir, can you hover over your cursor to any one of them like saltiness or freshness? So it's showing all the the parameters in one go, like in a saltiness. Can you
we can control that. If you don't want to show it, let's say
the tooltip point?
Yeah, right.
So why it is showing all the things like for the saltiness, it's showing freshness also? The
Yeah, because
crunchiness also?
that's how it has been defined. Let's say I'll go to this butter, and if you go to tooltip, okay, now I need to go to that all option. Now, if I go to the all, right, if you go to tooltip, you see everything is defined. Okay, so what I can choose to do it, go to that all, because whenever you have multiple measures on your columns, this all option will always come up. So I'll go to this tooltip and I'll just unhide this tooltip. Now you see it when you hover. Okay, so what would have happened? It has disabled it for all. Otherwise, what I can do here is, this is tricky. Okay, mainly this min files we do not need. By default, Tableau will show up everything, but we can still control. Let's say if you can do a preview how it looks like. Let's say let me do so because this is all right. So if I remove this, it will go off for everything. Let me go back and see. Let's say I'll go to butter now. If I go to tooltip, now you see they are all kind of disabled. So in this case, let's say if I go to all, is there any shortcut available? Make it
should we have to edit one by one going to the all marks card?
so yeah, so basically if I go to butter, why it is still not showing up? 1 second. I enabled it, right? Now if you go to one by one also, you will see, oh, why that time it didn't show up. Now what I will do here is, this is butter, right? Let me just, let's say, remove this and see what is coming up. Let's say, okay, you see here it is everything. So you go to one by one, crunchiness, go to tooltip, and now just keep the crunchiness here. You see this? Similarly, you need to go do it for the background, the shading that we have done for that also. You have to do it for one by one.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right. So this is one more version that we have created. Now sometimes this data, the data that we have connected, let's say I will reconnect to the data again. Because I don't want to do anything to that data. Let me bring it this sheet 1 and let's use the interpreter so that it will clean my data. Now what is happening, you see, this data is coming like this. Freshness, saltiness, although they are all kind of different columns, but they are representing the same value. Sometimes you may come up with this. Okay, so what you can do here is, let's say a good example is basically you are getting the months in a column. I'm getting the month Jan, Feb, March, April, like that in a column. But ideally they belong to one column. They should belong to one column called date or month. And within that month, you should have Jan month, Jan, Feb, March, all in rows. That is the ideal way of working with the data. Let's say you have this kind of a scenario where you have getting the data in columns instead of rows. So you can always pivot the data. select the data, right, like this, right click, and there is something called pivot. So when you create a pivot, it will give you like this. So it will give you all your headers in one column called pivot field names, and the other values it will give you in pivot field values. Okay, now let's see how this data looks like in the dashboard. Now you see this is how it is looking. So what I can do here is I'll go arena and I'll, let's say, pivot field names in columns, and I will put values, uh, pivot values somewhere like this. Let me check. So it will do like this. Okay. Now I don't have to create one by one, right? Whatever I did, but this gives me more flexibility. Okay, if you're doing it separately for each column, but again depends on your data, like what you are trying to. So if it is a month, I should not be keeping this kind of a structure. If it is a month, I should always use this kind of a structure where I will rotate from columns to rows. Okay, if it's a date or month or all are presenting the same value, okay, something like that, you should always pivot. But here, since it is all different columns, butter is a different parameter, crunchiness is a different measure, freshness, that's fine here, but I'm just showing an example. Let's say if you have all months, so you should always pivot the data, so it will make your life easy if it is coming in one column. But here one problem could be, I cannot use this dual access options separately because it is giving me one value. So what I can do is I may not show this total score here. Okay, in that case I can use a dual axis, because if I use a dual axis here, it will happen something like, if I do a min 5, now this for the last total score also it will try to use that min 5. But it is already 25, so I cannot do a dual axis. So that option is no more there. But we can remove this total score. How do I remove this? If I just put a pivot name into filter, and I'll remove this total score and say it is fine. Now I can do a dual axis with min 5, all of it. And I can do a dual axis. Okay, something like this. And make it a bar. And let me reduce the sizes a little bit. And I don't want to show this. And measure 5. I'll make it again the same thing, and I'll move it to back, whatever, front or back, whatever, and do a synchronize axis. All are synchronized. Okay, now this is the another way of doing things. Let me do a format, create lines. I don't need, and I don't need these headers. So I'll change the color a little bit, something like this. Now you see, now here the titles are coming on top because I use that pivot field names. What is that pivot field names? It contains all the column headers, right? Earlier we had, so it is used in column, so I am getting that. If that is not an option, you can go ahead with the way that I showed before. Okay, now I can just say this show header. You see, there is no problem happened. Now I can remove this pivot field names. I can remove this hide title, and probably I'll give little space at the top, and I can header format these headers. So this is my header, and let's say I'll make it bold, make it 10, and probably I can give little shading, something like this. And here also I'll do the same thing, format, and I'll make it 10. It was Tableau regular, I think. What is it? Format, oh, it's a Tableau book. I'll do the same thing here also. Format, Tableau book. Make sure your fonts, text, everything is aligned everywhere, and make it dark. Here also I'll make it dark, and let's give little shading to this also. Format, shading, this one. So now my dashboard is completely ready. Let me go ahead, duplicate this, and I'll remove This one, I'll also remove this one because I don't need this anymore because my headers are already coming. Let it be, I'll remove it later. Sheet 3, I'll put it here, hide title. Now double click on it, I'll just close it, delete container. Now that is gone. Now I can see this. Now you see, for each, now they are separate. And so 3 ways we have created a dashboard today. Same data, but how we are representing is different. Make an entire view. Save this. Version 3 actually. I'll show you what I had done before with this data. Let me go to that. Popcorn rating. I think this is the one. Let it open, you will see that data. Okay, maybe a little different way I did that time. So when we created this dual axis right here, so what I chose is one as, let's say in the version 3, if I go here and this pivot field values, maybe I chose a circle that time and made it big little bit, and the min 5 I made it absolutely small. So this is also, you see how this can be represented multiple different ways. You just need to figure out what makes more sense and what displays the data beautifully. Okay, so this is what I did that time. Where it is, if I go to the dashboard, not that one. Okay, there are multiple things I tried. So initially I tried this thing where I mean, for each arena, when the user selects, I'm showing the popcorn ratings, okay, how much they scored and what is the total score here. Now, if I make it in the presentation mode, you will see it better. Now the total score, wherever, maybe I would have given a condition. If it is more than 20, then make it green. If it is less than 15, some color coding might have happened. And I have used the stars to color code them, right? So this is what one way, maybe not the best way of visualizing, but depends. Like if it's not a very professional report, I can play around with it. So here what I have done here is, now you see I have got some shapes. Okay, shapes, you see shapes new. And what are these? If I go and show you that calculation, these are basically your Unicode shapes. You can search for that in Google. Unicode shapes, you will get whatever shape you need, you can use it from there. So these are all Unicode shapes I copied. So I'm saying that sum of pivot values, I pivoted, right? If you remember, if it is 1, then give me 1 star. If it is 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, similar like that. Okay. So then I have used this in the calculation. You see the shapes new is used into color as well as in the details so that I can get everything. You see in the tooltip also I have used, see the shapes new. Okay. So when you hover over, you can see, okay, what is the ratings for each of it, right? Then what I did, I think this is the whole thing there. Okay, there is one more thing. Okay, this is nothing but the dual axis that I created, a simple dual axis out of 25, and this is like the pivot field values that I use. And I think this is would have used only for total score. If you go and see that filter, it's only for total score, not for others. Okay, so this is what I created. And also there is one more, I don't like this much, but this kind of represents again like what stars they have represented. And this is the person Stephen Curry. I put a background image. So for background image, you can use this image option and then you can browse any image and you can bring it in. So this is what I created that time. All right. Any questions, guys? I will share both these files, okay, today. If you can, just try to recreate. It's a very simple one. Try to recreate and ask Lohit for that the other file. No, it is already there. That's okay. Yeah, it's already there. If you haven't got it, ask him to. There is just tell him that there is a file called Stephen Curry popcorn rating. Please put that in. This is the file in Stephen Curry Stadium popcorn rankings. I have already given this file to him. He needs to put it. Okay. Any questions, guys?
So just share this package file of this dashboard. Now we will get the
Which
data
one?
also. For this, the visualization you have made, the dashboard. No, so if you share that package files, we'll get the data also and dashboards also.
You can get it, but it's always to have that file separately for you to analyze. Otherwise, it will come part of the dashboard. I want you to connect and see what is happening. That's the whole reason.
Okay.
Okay. See, I can make your life easy, but you won't learn much. All right, guys. So we will see some new topics tomorrow. Okay. So please join again at 8 a.m. in the morning. 8 a.m. It's not 8:30. Today I saw some people joined at 8:30, but it is 8 a.m. Okay, we'll start with new. I just wanted to showcase some of the data, how to visualize today. Tomorrow we'll start with again topics. So yeah, that's okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.